This is day 5 of Chicago Fashion Week. I'm just outside walking around Chicago before it gets cold. But as promised, since I don't have any more runways or shows that I'll be attending on my schedule, as promised, I will be just doing a recap of the week with my tips, recommendations, also just feelings of the week, how things went. And the tips and recommendations will be for, the newcomers of a fashion week and what you could potentially do to get ready or prepare yourself. So first off, I just want to say that this week has been an amazing week. I am eternally grateful for the opportunity to even be able to participate in this first reinstated Chicago Fashion Week. The designers, the shows, the creative directors, I want to give a huge shout out to all of them for putting this together and making it happen for each show that I was a part of. And then also for the designers that I walked for during those shows, because they all were just amazing. So that's kind of the first thing that I want to do, just give my thanks and congratulations to all of them for an amazing week, an amazing Chicago Fashion Week. Really, looking back on Monday, the standout event that occurred, I would have to say, is honestly the avant-garde section of the October runway show. And I'm not saying this because I was a part of it, I'm saying it because it really embodied just creative direction. I was a part of the light and the dark section, and so the vision behind it, right, was that the light section, while God created light, darkness was also created when human nature perversed or tarnished the image that God had for the view of the world, right? And so with that, and just to give you guys an idea of the creative vision that October had, it really makes sense that this was the standout event because everything that followed that was creative direction, right? How can you be flexible enough to follow creative direction? How can you be flexible enough to bring the vision that the creative director has to life and even the fashion designer? So that's why I said this was a standout event or a standout point that happened for this Monday runway show. As rehearsal goes, for anything that you do, rehearsal is to give you the tools to be able to have success on the day of the event, the day of the show, right? And so with that, rehearsal on Wednesday went great. We were able to once again go over the walk that the creative director wanted from us and then go over the route. But ultimately on Thursday, what we ended up finding out was that we were walking on the other side of Union Station, meaning that the route was the same, but we had to just kind of reverse it in our brain and know that we were on the other side of Union Station. And so we still had the tools to be successful, but we still had to just have that flexibility to be able to change just to the other side of Union Station. So it wasn't anything too difficult. But yeah, rehearsal on Wednesday, the energy was high, everyone was ready for it. And the show on Thursday, everything went so smoothly. We already knew what we needed to do. We knew where we would be walking. All the creative director had to do was make sure we knew the lineup. The fashion designers fitted us just to make sure that our final looks for the day were ready and prepared. And then when it started at 6 p.m. when we started walking, it was on and going from there, right? So we had really quick changes of wardrobes that had to happen in between the fashion show sections. But like I said, everything still went super smooth. Yes, yesterday marked the ending of my time on the catwalk for Chicago Fashion Week. But I will just say the difference between the two, obviously one being the avant-garde, which which was the more creative walk, and then this one being the more high fashion, straightforward runway. The main difference between the two just really had to deal with the mindset that I was going into both of these runway shows. And so what I mean by that is the avant-garde one, I knew I was going to have to be creative and have to really focus on the vision that the fashion designer had for the walk for this specific avant-garde look. So I knew I was going to have to be more intentional with that aspect of the walk. Then on yesterday, I needed a strong walk, and then, fine-tuning that based off of what the fashion designers wanted for their specific pieces that I was showcasing. And so just for example, right, yesterday for Gente Fina, the fashion designer was like, think of like basically cowboy, manly, confident walk. And so that's the main difference between the two. So I would say 3 of the largest unexpected challenges I faced had to deal with the looks that I was wearing. One of them was the avant-garde. I knew I was going to be wearing it, and I've known this for about a week and a half before I did the walk. And so I was able to prepare for that challenge. The next challenge was for Gente Fina. The look had a size 11.5 pair of brown leather Chelsea boots that I needed to wear to complete it. And my foot is a size 15. So I knew that I was gonna have to, kind of smash my foot into it to get it to the fit to be complete, since I didn't have the Chelsea boots myself. And so I kind of was preparing for that, just to make sure that I was mentally prepared for having to be able to still do a strong walk and not, hurt myself while doing it as well. And then the third one being the change between Gente Fina and Lauren Line. I had to take off all of the look for Gente Fina because I was fitted for Lauren Line of the Union Station runway, which happened right after it. So all 3 of these I knew was going to happen, and I was able to first mentally prepare by just going through the steps that I could do to optimize that, meaning I could prepare the walk for the avant-garde and then have Ty. I could have him give me steps just to better the walk for how he envisioned it. For the shoes, that's really just mental preparation. And then for the change, I just needed to know what all I had to throw off and then what all I needed to throw on. And, then I prepared and had everything stationed for Lauren Line's look right in the same spot, so I knew where everything was so that I could throw it on. The highlight of my week. That is a very good question. Honestly, I'm just gonna go with the first thing that comes to mind, which is the avant-garde walk. When I tell you, I'm still getting compliments on, you really embody that entity. Like, I was truly fearful. It was amazing. I'm still getting those comments and those praises. Yes, it's amazing personally, but it's more so amazing that I was able to bring a vision that Ty had to life in terms of the entity section, avant-garde section that he had, the vision for that. So it's great to know that I have the creative flexibility to be able to not just do runway walks, but do more so performance walks and art, just create art. So I'd have to say that was a standout, and that's why too. So on Monday and Thursday, I would have to say, this is me personally, the crowd has never not been good to me, but I will say when I'm out there, I don't let the crowd dictate the energy that I'm bringing. I more so impact them more so. That's why afterwards I was getting you made me fearful on Monday. And then on Thursday I was I was getting compliments and it was like, you really made those looks. So I tried to, and as crazy as it sounds, I tried to have more presence and energy imposed on the audience than I let them on me. So yeah, my energy really wasn't affected. However, they did match me, right? They definitely matched me on Monday, and I was getting a ton of good looks, a ton of good compliments afterwards. And then on Thursday, I got a ton of good looks, a ton of good compliments afterwards as well. So the energies weren't different because I'm the energy. And I know that's weird to say, and it sounds kind of strange, but yeah, I like to say, for me, I'm on my own island out there, and I'm quite all right with it because I got a lot of energy to put out. So yeah, it wasn't too much different Monday versus Thursday because it's all me. And I feel like this is maybe the topic of the week, but what keeps ringing in my head for me to take away into future shows is flexibility. Like flexibility of myself, flexibility of my walk, flexibility of my creative thinking. So yeah, moving forward, I definitely will just work on how can I continue to develop my skill of being flexible, which I think is already high. Once again, this question, which is a very good question, has to deal with being flexible. And so I will just give my recommendation and tip to anyone who is struggling with this. First, if you don't think you have the flexibility to manage different designers, manage different creative directors, take a step back and actually think about how you've built and established a good base, right? Meaning, do you have a strong walk? Do you have a confident looking walk? Do you have a strong normal base walk? Because if you don't have a good base walk, how can you begin to build that complexity, build that flexibility if you don't have a good foundation? So I would say, for me, I'm able to manage the different expectations and manage the different of the creative designers and of the creative directors because I've built a strong base. I have a good foundation. I have a good understanding of my strengths, of my less strengths, of the things that I need to, and opportunities to work on myself. I have a good understanding of that, to where I can now build in flexibility because I understand what makes me me. So that's how you can manage all of those expectations, by building a good base to then give you higher complexities and higher flexibility that you're able to have for all of these expectations and honestly requirements. Describe it in one word. I would have to describe it as reconciling. As philosophical as this might be, for me, I say reconciling because it's a reconciliation for myself with me back to my creative side. When I was younger, I was an actor and I sung, did all of that. And so as I grew up, I never grew out of it, but I started filtering my creativity through my logical side. That's honestly why I think I was good at mathematics, good at sciences, and good at a lot of my subjects in school, because I learned how to filter my creative side back through my logical side. And so this is a reconciliation of myself and reconciling back to being creative, being open, having that creative flexibility, and just abiding in my creativity. So yeah, for me, this Chicago Fashion Week, I would describe as reconciling. Do not underestimate the time commitment beforehand, at least a week beforehand. I'd say maybe 2 weeks to the week of. Don't underestimate that. And I say this because yes, it's a physical preparation, meaning taking care of your skin, taking care of not just your facial skin, but also the rest of your body's skin as well. Even stretching, going to the gym. While that should be a lifestyle, don't underestimate the importance of preparing physically, and then mental preparation being, how are you taking care of your confident self, your confident mind, getting enough sleep? Because for me, sleep is directly associated with, honestly, my mental health, honestly, my social abilities, and even more so, like, my sense of well-being mentally. Because if I don't get sleep, and I find that I just start ruminating more, and rumination can lead to maladaptive thinking and those negative ideations being more present in me. And so with that, don't underestimate how much you should be preparing even before you get the booking for your next big fashion week. But this preparation is a lifestyle for me because it helps me feel better. It keeps me grounded in who I am, and also it just keeps me living a life that God intended me to live. So, since this is day 5, the closing day for at least my participation in Chicago Fashion Week, I just wanted to leave you all with, if you've stayed this far, thank you so much. History was made throughout this week and a half, I believe, of Chicago Fashion Week, the first reinstated Chicago Fashion Week. So I knew I had to just give my perspective of Chicago Fashion Week and the events that took place that I participated in, and then also just my other events and things that I had to do to prepare for Chicago Fashion Week. But I knew I had to get my voice out there and make my section of history of the first reinstated Chicago Fashion Week known. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Super excited for what's going to come in the future. Very grateful for everyone that stayed. Very grateful for the comments. If you guys have recommendations for, future videos or future content that you guys would like to see, I'm always open for that. But yeah, this was yesterday. Day 4 of Chicago Fashion Week was my last runway for this Chicago Fashion Week, and this is the last official recap day of everything that happened during this week for me, and I am once again grateful for you guys being a part of my part of history and my play in making Chicago Fashion Week happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is StarDom signing off.